welcome back to another episode of Stitches and Sprinkles. My name is Hillary, and this is my channel about sewing, knitting, spinning. I have more news about that, and any other crafty things that I get up to. Basically, we just spend a little bit of time together. I show you what I'm working on, and I hope that we can start a conversation around what you're working on. Okay, so again, welcome back. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm trying to record these as often as I can, but life is busy, as I'm sure yours is too. So I do appreciate you holding out and being here when I come back. There are a lot of new people here, and I'm really excited to see you, and I hope that you'll join the conversation and tell me what you enjoy most so that I can make sure to highlight those things in my videos. I'll start off by telling you what I'm wearing. I actually had to look this up because I forgot the name of this pattern, but this is the Tilly and the Buttons Pearl cardigan, and it is, I did the balloon sleeve option, so it's a cropped wrap cardigan, and it's got a very neat construction detail here. With the way that it ties, I really like it. It's a V-neck, obviously from the wrap, and a little bit of a drop shoulder. I do like that style. I find it very comfy. I wear a tank top underneath mine just because I'm constantly bending over to pick up a toddler or move fabric or yarn. So that's this. And on the bottom I have, and I know they're black so they don't show up very well, but I have Helen's Closet Winslow culottes on in a black tencel twill from fabrics.com, and this is a fleece-backed jersey from Blackbird Fabrics with matching ribbing. This was my first foray into buying coordinating ribbing for my knitwear, and I love it. It is so good. It's so good. I did have a little bit too little, so I kind of doctored it over here, but you wouldn't have known that if I hadn't just told you. So there you go. So that is what I am wearing, and we'll just jump right in. Finished objects. I do not have any sewn finished objects this week. I do have a whip to show you, which is very exciting because I haven't really had a personal sewing whip in a while. But we'll start with knitting finished objects. So I am participating in the Eat, Sleep, Knit Yarnathon. Eat, Sleep, Knit is a yarn shop in Dallas, Georgia. It's about an hour and a half away from me, but occasionally I do drive out there, and I also order via mail because they have a very reasonable flat rate shipping. So I am participating in the Yarnathon, and one of the first craft alongs for the year was a colorful cowl. So it was any 2-color cowl of your choice using at least 100 yards. And it's on a time frame. So this one was a 10-day craft along. So I chose to get super bulky, and I got Manos del Uruguay in Candy is the pink, and Balloon is the kind of, it's not quite teal. It's a little bit more green than teal, but it's a very pretty color. So I got these two, and as you can see, I've used a lot of them. These are 150 gram skeins, and they have 114 yards a piece. So it will be enough for me to do a whole nother cowl out of. But I did, and pardon my ends, I did the pretty brioche thing, and I do not remember who this is by. I will link it below, but basically one of my goals for this year was to try brioche knitting. I've never done brioche knitting before, so I really wanted to try brioche, and when this craft along popped up for Eat, Sleep, Knit's Yarnathon, I thought, oh, this is a good opportunity to do that. So it's a very basic brioche cowl, and I will slide it on with, hopefully without making my hair an entire frizz ball. It is very comfy. It is very cozy. It kind of has a life of its own when you put it on. So definitely good for windy days. If you're new here, I live in Georgia, so it's not that cold. So like right now I could seriously walk outside like this and be fine, just with a long sleeve sweatshirting and a cowl just to cover my bare skin on my neck. So yeah, will I get an immense amount of wear out of this? I'm not sure, but I really love it and it's cute. So there you go. That's what matters. All right, taking that off. Very happy with this. The squish factor is incredible. The brioche turned out pretty cool on both sides with these colors. And I am going, with the rest of the yarn, I'm going to do opposite. So I'm going to do the front side where the green stands out and the pink is kind of in the background. So yeah, so I'll practice my brioche skills some more and get some more yardage for my yarn-a-thon. I did get to the 1,000 yard level and I got the KP Toy Store pin, which is a really adorable Care Bear holding 2 skeins of yarn. So I encourage you to check them out if you have not. They are very, very sweet, and the Ravelry conversation is super duper fun with that group. So my other finished objects since last we chatted are both for my husband. So I made, this is also with yarn from Eat Sleep Knit. This is String Theory Colorworks in Observer Effect. And then I added the orange, which is Madeline Tosh in Citrus. I got a couple of unicorn tails and made him a University of Florida Musselburgh hat. So this is a modified Musselburgh hat. I was inspired by Natalie, also known as Nitty Natty, to do a ribbed version. And because when I was asking him what he wanted, he said he wanted it to fit snug. And so I was like, well, let me do some ribbing so that it has a bit more recovery. Because I made myself a Musselburgh hat, and it's a little bit slouchy, but I like that because I have a lot of hair, so I need a little bit of extra space. But he wanted his snug, so I did ribbing. And I may do one like this for me next time, or one for our daughter. We shall see. And then with most of the leftover yarn, and pardon me, y'all, these have not been blocked, but he was excited to wear them and he did not want me to block them. I made him a pair of the World's Simplest Mittens by Tin Can Knits. Maybe this is a good little cover photo for this video. But you can see I used the Madeline Tosh Citrus for the cuffs, and I did do the cuffs significantly shorter than they are written because, again, we live in Georgia and it is not that cold. And then I used, excuse me, the self-striping by itself for the hands. So they go together. They're not like a perfectly matchy-matchy set, but they definitely go together, and he's really happy. So that's always good. I do have, I'll link my Ravelry pages for both of these if you want to see exactly what I did and what sizes I made. I will link that below. So those are my finished objects. Like I said, no sewing finished objects. I have so many whips that just need the last touch. And that may be one of the next videos I film, is one video of all of my sewing whips and another video of all of my knitting whips, because this is the year of finishing things and the year of using things that I have. So I'm excited about that because obviously if I bought something and spent my money on it, I was excited to work with it. And I feel like the last couple of years I've just gotten distracted by shiny objects. So like a lot of other YouTubers that I've been watching, it's the year of finishing and working on scraps and working on stash. So if you're on that journey too, please, comment, let me know how you're doing it. I would love to hear some of your strategies because I'm still very distracted by shiny things. I'll tell you about my spinning shiny thing in just a few minutes. I do have one sewing work in progress. It is a pair of Closet Core Plateau joggers. And this is another sweatshirting from Blackbird Fabrics. Is this a fleece-backed one? Yes, it is also a fleece-backed sweatshirting. You can see that it's like super duper warm and fuzzy inside. And I chose not to do the top stitching yet on the waistband. I'm not sure if I'm going to add that or not. I don't really have trouble with mine rolling, but maybe I'll decide to add it. I did not put the drawstring holes in this pair like I did in my last pair, and I also did not top stitch the pockets because I just kind of wanted it to be very simple and very plain. But all I have left to do on these is add the cuffing, the ribbing for the cuffs, and then they'll pretty much be ready to experiment and decide if I'm gonna put any top stitching over the waistband or not. But I'm excited to have another pair of plateau joggers. They fit me really, really well. Pretty much anything Closet Core fits me really, really well. Their block just works for me. I'm anywhere between like a 16-18 and an 18-20 depending on the pattern, and it's super easy to grade their patterns. And so I just can't say enough about Closet Core and the plateau joggers. And I also have plans to do a matching Mile End sweatshirt. I want to do the version with the hood and the kangaroo pocket this time. I've done the plain version. And I also have some kind of like, it's not quite sage, it's more of a eucalyptus green that I want to do the plain sweatshirt with the waist tie detail, because last time I made it, I cut the waist tie detail, but I got so excited that I sewed everything up before I put the waist tie detail in. So I would like to actually do that version this time. And I'll put some pictures in just so you know what the Mile End sweatshirt looks like and what I'm talking about as far as the versions. But I will have the hooded version with the kangaroo pocket in this color as a matching set, because I am about that like head to toe look lately. It's good. It works. I work from home most of the time. If I am like teaching or something, it's okay for me to wear head to toe plum. So it's on brand for being a sewing teacher. Anyway, that's my sewing work in progress, or at least the one that I've worked on most recently. Like I said, I have a lot. I have a 95% finished Kelly Anorak. I have a 95% finished Orchidee dress. I have a 75% finished sagebrush top. The list goes on. And I've got so much fabric that I'm ready to play with, so I want to kind of clear the deck for some new things. So my other work in progress is, you've seen these before, but they are a little bit further along than the last time you saw them. They are the DRK Everyday Socks in Circus Tonic Handmade. The colorway, I believe, was Amelia, but it's a lighter 75-25 sock yarn, tough. I like the stitch definition it's giving. I like the way the dyer handled some tiny little speckles that are going on in here. So cover my face so you can see it a little bit better, maybe. Yeah, it's good stuff. So I am just, and I know these look a little bit ridiculous because they're like ribbed in the foot and they just get really skinny and crazy looking, but when I tried them on, they fit so nicely, and I'm just gonna knit them, I think, as tall as I can with the amount of yarn that I have left, or at least to the recommended height in the DRK Everyday Sock pattern, which I believe is either like 6 or 7 inches, so kind of like a boot sock, and I think I'm just gonna go for it. I may increase a little bit because I have leg muscles and I don't want them to be tight on my calves. So I may decide to do that. I may slip them onto my barber cords here and just see how things are feeling. Because my legs they're not skinny, and that's okay. And I want them to fit. I don't really care what size they are. So, and I say that was my quotation marks, if you couldn't tell. And the other thing that I wanted to share with you about this work in progress is that I went to this place that's near me called Eye Candy Art Studio, and I painted this yarn bowl. And as you know, if you've been here for a moment, I really, really love Studio Ghibli. So this is all soot sprites from the movie Spirited Away. And then inside, I did some of my favorite main characters from other Ghibli films. So I've got Totoro in there. That's the mask from Princess Mononoke. And then I've got No Face, also from Spirited Away. So it was super fun to paint this at Eye Candy Art Studio in my town. I'm in Duluth, Georgia. Sorry, the Amazon person just drove by and there was like this big van in my window. But yeah, anyhow, that is the yarn bowl that I am using for my DRK Everyday Socks. And it sits next to my spot on the couch and just makes me incredibly happy. So, soot sprites, they're the best. They're just the best. So, those are my works in progress. I do have a story to tell you about taking a spinning class, and I also have some things to show you as far as a shop preview for my business. Sorry, I'm just going to grab my coffee and take a sip because I've got a little tickle in my throat. This is one of my favorite mugs. It's a Shakespearean insult mug. I got it at the Shakespeare Tavern here in Atlanta, and it's just like all the ways that Shakespearean characters insult each other and call each other names or call each other dummies. I don't look forward to explaining it to my daughter, but it's really funny. So there you go. All right. For those of you that are new around here, I also, in addition to lots of other things, I have a business called Garden of Eden Fibers. I primarily hand dye yarn, mostly wool, but I am branching out into some plant-based fibers in the spring. So I have an early spring launch coming up, and I just thought I'd give you guys a preview since y'all are here and you might also care about hand-dyed yarn. So I started last year doing seasonal palettes, or palettes that I was inspired by. Let me see if I can hold all of these at once. So this is the early spring palette for Garden of Eden Fibers. I was inspired by some garden photos that I saw, and it just kind of went from there. So this colorway is called Showers and Flowers, and this is on my Big Squish base, which is a bulky weight. It is 76 yards per 100 grams, and it's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And this is a variegated colorway that also has some white space left. I will be cranking some of these colorways on my Addie. I still haven't gotten my Erlbacher. It's coming, but I will do that. So, so that's Showers and Flowers. And I've also got the Rainbow Tweety base is back in stock. So you may remember this from fall market season. I had Rainbow Tweety, and this is a 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal Neps. It is 246 yards per 100 grams. So it is a DK weight. And this color is called Sweet Pea. and I just think it plays really nicely on the Rainbow Tweedy. I do have this available in all the tonals, but I'm just showing you one of each of the new colorways and bases that are either new or returning. Now this one is a new base. This is a 75-25. This is a true sock base, or true fingering weight yarn. This is 463 yards per 100 grams. It is 75-25. It's called my strong sock base. I know that's not incredibly original, but I have sweet sock for my 80-20, and so this is strong sock, and it just works. And this color is called Puddle Jumping. We get a lot of kind of pop-up thunder showers here in the spring, and it just reminded me of kind of the color of the sky briefly, and then all the puddles that are left that my kiddo likes to hop in. And the last new base and the last new tonal, this colorway is called Lupine. And these are inspired by flowers, y'all. So just, if you're curious, you can Google what the flower itself looks like. But this is a fluffy silk lace, that's what I'm calling this base. It is a 72% kid mohair, 28% silk, 459 yards for 50 grams. So this is a true lace weight. I have had, I used to have another kid mohair, and it was kid mohair in nylon. I didn't really like it. It didn't meet my standards for what I want to sell to my customers. So I had been looking and looking, and I found this kid silk and wanted to add back a really true lace weight, because up until now, the only thing that I found that I was comfortable selling as far as like a non-wool lightweight was a Syri alpaca. And it was, I want to say like 328 grams for, or 328 yards for every 50 grams, which is not a true lace weight and didn't work for a lot of popular patterns. So, excuse me. So I wanted to bring something back that was nice and light and fluffy, and it is, and I love it, and it's got a really nice halo to it. So I will be knitting with this very soon. So those are the new colors. Again, early spring 2023 palette. Those are the tonals. You can see how nicely they play together. And Showers and Flowers, my variegated for this release. Sorry, I'm trying to get all the skeins to turn the right way. So okay, so those are the early spring palette, and to complement the early spring palette, I decided to pour some resin. So these, I also really enjoy doing buttons, and there will be better photos of the, in fact, I will just put up some photos of the buttons, but you can kind of see some of the colors. I really enjoy pouring resin. I have several sizes. I also pour magnetic pin dishes and other things that are kind of parallel to crafting or used in knitting and sewing. So I'll put some pictures up so you can see that because it is too hard to show you without taking them out of the bag, and if I take them out of the bag, then I will ruin labels, and I don't want to do that. So that's Garden of Eden stuff, and you're welcome to go over and check out my website if you're interested, gardenofedenfibres.com. I'll link it below. And the last truly crafting related thing that I have to talk to you about today is my spinning class. So on Saturday, a couple days ago, I went to Fiber Parts Shop in Avondale Estates, Georgia, which is really close to Decatur. And I took an intro to hand spinning class with a lovely, lovely teacher. And I think I fell in love. I've told you guys before that my friend Darcy gave me an antique spinning wheel, and I've done everything that I can think of to get it to work. And it's still not, I can't get, okay, so if you're a spinner, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you're not, just, it'll be over in a second. I cannot get, it's a double drive, traditional style antique wheel. And even when I crank the tension where, you know, almost all the way up, there's no draw in after you get the twist that you need in the fiber. So I can twist the fiber just fine, but then when I go to allow it to draw onto the bobbin, it won't draw onto the bobbin. And that doesn't work. Like, there's a tensioning issue. So I'm going to take it back to Fiber Parts Shop and see if Sandy can help me look at it. But I am going to also buy an Ashford Kiwi because A, it's more space efficient. B, it was a whole hell of a lot easier to use. Pardon me but crafts shouldn't be frustrating. As my friend Holly Ann says, if it raises your blood pressure, it doesn't belong in your craft room. So I'm going to get an Ashford Kiwi. It's a castle style wheel. It's double treadle, which just makes better sense in my brain. And it's also a modern wheel, so it's a little bit easier to take care of. I love this antique wheel. I think she's beautiful, but she's not easy to travel with, and she's being kind of cantankerous, so it's okay. She's gorgeous. She was free. I loved on her. I gave her lots of nice feed and wax, and if nothing else, she'll just be beautiful and remind me of the ingenuity of people and how creative and how wonderful doing things with your hands is, and that it connects us to the past. So it's all good either way, but I am going to get an Ashford Kiwi from Fiber Parts Shop. They are an Ashford dealer, and they have them in stock, so it's only a matter of time. I had a blast. My hand spun is hanging right now with some weight on it to pull out some of the twist energy, but I will show you guys my hand spun as soon as it's finished hanging and relaxing, because as anybody who has tried to spin knows, it's a journey, and it's gonna take a while for me to spin something that's actually even. There's parts that are like fingering weight, and there's parts that are like super bulky weight. So, but it was fine. It was so much fun, and it really is very meditative. It gets you out of your head, and you have to be very, very present and very mindful. And I'm always looking for things that make me be present and mindful. That's why I swim. That's why I knit, and now it's why I'm gonna spin. So I'm excited. Thank you, Jamie and Sandy, for a really wonderful class. I'll tag Fiber Parts below. Also, check them out. They have some really cool stuff. They're very focused on American wool, and it's a difficult thing to source as a dyer, speaking as an indie dyer. So I have a tremendous respect for people who spend the time and energy to really source 100% American wool. But yeah, they have very cool stuff. They also have lots of supplies for weaving. They have lots of supplies. They have some sewing supplies, but they have lots of really cute gifts and notions too. So Fiber Parts. If you're in the Atlanta area, I definitely recommend just popping over for a visit. They're super, super sweet people. Yeah, so that is all the crafty content. For those of you who've been here for a minute, I am still reading the third book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I believe it's A Court of Wings and Ruin. It's been so long I've forgotten the name. It's good. I'm like 70% of the way through, and I'm not stopping, but it's just taking me a really long time to get through reading right now, because when I lay down, I usually read at night before bed. I was reading first thing when I got up in the morning, but my kid has been waking up at like 5:30, and so I'm not getting time by myself to read before she wakes up, and that's fine. I love the cuddles, it's all good. But when my head hits the pillow at night, I can only last for like 10 or 15 minutes. So it's taking me a minute to get through an actual Kindle reading book. I am also reading the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring on Audible. That's a little bit easier because I can do it while I'm working or while I'm walking or cooking. That's been really fun. I've actually never read Lord of the Rings, so it's kind of cool to read it. And then my husband and I watched, well, I fell asleep, but he watched the first movie because we're reading it together. So that's been nice. Other than that, it's just been a busy start to the year. I think like everyone, we're trying to be mindful of like spending in January. And so this past weekend we went to a local shopping mall and just walked around. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty disenchanted with actual malls. It was a very weird experience. It was not a lot of stores that I actually was interested in. Books A Million was great, and I like walking around physical bookstores because then I can like add titles to my library holds or see if Audible has things on there for me to listen to. But yeah, and so we did that, and then we went to dinner as a family, and then it was terrible weather Sunday, so we just kind of hung out. We made a big pot of soup and had a nice relaxing weekend, and I finished some knitting projects, as you saw. So I think that's all I have for you today, but expect another video from me soon about my works in progress or my UFOs, whatever you want to call them, and hopefully you guys can help hold me accountable as I try to wean down the number of works in progress that I have on my table and on my needles. So thanks for being here. If you're not already, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and like this video, and just thanks for spending time with me. I look forward to chatting with you in the comments, and make time for creativity, y'all. It's amazing what it'll do. So I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.